While at Tracon, SE500 also had a chance to sit down with game designing veteran Ross Watts. Would you please tell our readers a little bit about yourself and your work?
Okay, I have been in the game industry for about 13 years now. I started out working on tabletop role-playing games, and I went to work for Games Workshop for a couple of years on the miniature game side, and then I went to work at a place called Fantasy Flight Games, which does a lot of board games and role-playing games and so forth. And from there I went to work at a studio called Vigil, which made Darksiders 2, and now I am sort of a freelance game designer doing lots of different projects. And I think I have probably over 60 role-playing books published and just the one video game, but hopefully more in the future.
Okay, that sounds good. So, what are you working on now?
Well, right now I have a project called Accursed, which is a dark fantasy setting for the Savage Worlds role-playing game. It is kind of a cross between Hellboy and Solomon Kane, and it just launched a Kickstarter on Friday the 13th, actually. Because if you call your game Accursed, you might as well go all the way.
Of course.
And the Kickstarter is doing really well, so I'm excited about seeing where that goes. And in the future, I'm hoping to do some more work with Warhammer and Star Wars and a few other licensed games.
That sounds very interesting. So, do you have a chance to work on any new generation hardware like Xbox One and PS4?
Not yet, but I'm kind of excited to see what happens with that, especially with PlayStation 4.
You're a PlayStation 4 fan?
I think that's probably going to be my choice. It looks really, really good.
Okay, good, very good. So, what is your opinion of the next generation consoles?
Well, I think it's going to kind of boil down to the services that they offer to the gamer, because what's really important to the gamer is being able to play the games he wants to play at the right time. And the selection of games for both consoles, of course, is very interesting, and that's going to be a deciding factor as well. But I think PlayStation has the edge right now.
Well, we're going to wait and see.
Yeah.
So, let's talk about the Darksiders franchise.
Okay.
You work on the Darksiders 2.
Yes.
Could you explain to our viewers the role on that project?
I was the lead writer on Darksiders 2, especially for the downloadable content. I had a team with Molly Fincher who was working with me, and we created a lot of the quests, and we wrote a lot of the script, and pretty much every item in Darksiders 2, if you pick it up and look at the description, that was me. I wrote that description. It was really fun creating characters like Belial, who's the demon that you fight in the it's the third DLC for Darksiders 2, and it was really cool being able to write dialogue for Death because he's such an interesting character. I found that to be probably the most favorite part. The story of Darksiders is also really interesting. There's a huge universe for it, and the visuals are just breathtaking.
The tease at the end of Darksiders 1 got fans very excited at the thought of controlling all four horsemen, and although this never eventuated, you could argue that Death was afforded more depth from a narrative standpoint in the sequel. Where were any other benefits gained in deciding to focus on just one horseman with Darksiders 2?
Well, that would be a question that would probably be better to ask someone like the creative director of the game, but as the writer, the creative director kind of told me, like, this is the path we want you to write for. And I thought it was cool to sort of delve into Death and find out what really makes him tick and what was interesting about his story. But I don't think that Darksiders is all gone forever. I believe there's a new company that's picked up the license, and I have talked to them a few times about that. So hopefully in the future we will do more Darksiders and maybe see the rest of the Four Horsemen. I think that would be fantastic.
Still a chance of the Darksiders series continuing with the Nordic game purchasing the IP and expressing some levels of interest in working with Crytek. If fans get Darksiders 3, do you see yourself working on the game?
I have actually been in contact with them about doing some writing for Darksiders 2. I can't say for sure, but I would really, really like to get back to that franchise, and I know that a lot of creators who worked on Darksiders 2 would love to come back and do more on it, particularly the team that I was a part of with level designers like Rob Reininger. It's just a great game, and I would welcome a chance to come back and do more writing, especially for some of the new horsemen.
If Darksiders 3 eventuated and introduced Strife and Fury, is there a concern that with more characters, these two might not be afforded the same level of attention that War and Death received in Darksiders 1 and 2?
Well, I don't know anything about what the new game would be like, so I mean, there's no way for me to tell. But I think what a fan wants to see is just the same amount of time with each horseman because they all have kind of interesting personalities and different gameplay modes and things of that nature. So it's going to kind of depend on what Nordic wants to do with it, but I really hope that they do kind of take that approach and give the horsemen equal amounts of time to get fleshed out and learn more about their story.
Well, is there anything else you would like to say to our readers?
It's been a real pleasure being on the show with you guys. I do really appreciate it, and I want to say thank you to all the fans of Darksiders who keep that alive, because without you, we have no games.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We would like to thank Mr. Watson for coming on the show. If you want to check out the Kickstarter for a curse, the link is in the description below.